Hi, Joanna, and
Hey.
lovely to meet you at last. We have been having problems trying to get this interview happening, but now it is, and that's great. How are
Yeah,
things in
sorry.
Georgia?
Things are good. It's very cold at the moment.
It's very hot here in
Suddenly
Brisbane.
cool. Really?
Mm,
Apparently it's also quite hot in South Africa. A lot of my friends have been complaining.
yeah,
I miss it. I need the warm weather.
yeah. Tell me a bit about your and your mother's history when it comes to migration out of South Africa and why you left.
Well, I won't go into too much detail, but I think it's something that a lot of other South Africans feel the same, especially the younger generation, which is basically the economy has kind of gotten to the point where it's almost impossible to create a future, and not just a future, but a future that you can actually retire on.
Mm,
So I think for me, like the economic status was definitely a big thing. I wanted to leave because I just want to have a better life. I want to have like a life that's a lot easier
yeah,
to live. It's easier to make money. It's easier to have just an opportunity in general. As for my mother, I think for her, she has three very young kids.
yeah,
And like there are a lot of people, a lot of my friends who, even in my own age group, it's just been a situation of I don't want to have kids because this is not the right place to have kids.
yeah.
So I think for my mom and for that side of my family, like that's definitely a factor.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. Okay. Now, just getting to know your site, Folktrek. Um,
Mm.
this is basically what we're going to be talking about now. Um,
Yes.
tell me or outline the purpose of the site for me.
Okay, so the purpose of the site is basically to create like a support network, essentially, of both South Africans and internationals that are working together, either to support each other or to find support from people, whether that
Hmm.
is, say, in terms of like money, or if it's, finding a place to rent, or finding a like job, or finding, basic information that they'd need in order to relocate. Um, so yeah, for us, it's basically the idea is just to create a support network of people who are willing to help.
Right. And which
Yeah.
countries does it cover?
It would be all countries. So it's mostly for South Africans looking for help.
Hmm.
But if there are people in other countries who are willing to extend that help to try and get people to immigrate,
Yeah.
then that would be the purpose.
But which countries are we talking about migrating to? Any country?
Oh yeah, so it would be any country. So
Okay.
any person from any country who's willing to extend that hand.
Yeah. Okay.
So whether you're from Europe or you're from America, it doesn't really matter.
Right. Okay. And what made you come up with this idea? What was the sort of brains behind it?
Um, so I think for me it was like mostly my mother's brainchild, but
Hmm.
the reason that we decided to actually turn it into an action is I saw quite a few of the people that I know, like friends and acquaintances, kind of going through the struggle of we want to leave, but we either can't afford to leave or we don't know people in another country. Like
Yeah.
how do you just turn around and go, oh, I'm going to give up my entire life and I'm going to just move somewhere and I don't know anybody and I don't have any contacts or anything like that. So for us it was kind of like, okay, well, people want help but they don't know where to look, so
Right.
let's give them a place.
Hmm. Okay. Now, um, to actually join your website, there's a sign up process, isn't there?
There is a sign up process.
Okay.
So the sign up process is as follows. We charge a 3 months fee.
Hmm.
It's a 3 month package and then a 6 months package, and that gives you access to the site that allows you to contact people, that allows you to post ads for certain things that you're looking for or for certain things that you're going to give away. So for or that you would like people to do. So for example, if you want to have an ad for a piece of property or something like that, you would put it onto the site as well. That's also connected to the social aspect of it. So there
Yeah.
are groups and you can set up a profile. And then the sign up process is pretty simple. You get to the site, you put your details in, you put your card details in, and then you are sent an email and you're led onto the site. What we are going to be doing is for the month of February, the first 200 people to sign up to the site will get access to it for free. And that for us is basically for testing.
Right.
So that we can iron out all of the bugs and those kinds of things.
Yeah. Now, I take it that you and your mother will be quite active on the site when people join,
Yes.
and giving
Yes.
them advice and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay.
We're also at the moment we're looking for some admins. So if people are willing to help us with that, in terms of just running groups and those kinds of things, it wouldn't be a full site admin, but we will get to that point very soon where we
Yeah.
will be hiring somebody to do it full time so that they can be continuously looking after the site. If people have questions, if there are queries, if there's any, like moderation or anything like that that needs to happen on the site,
Right.
we'll have somebody for them.
Okay. And um, tell us some of the features of the site, and how to use it, and um, just go a bit more into the actual content that you're going to carry, and um,
Um,
like the forums and stuff like that.
yes. So as I mentioned earlier, the purpose of the site is for people to connect, and we have two ways of doing that. So the first one is basically our classified section, where people can put out ads for the things that they're looking for,
Right.
or the things that they're offering. So whether that is offering for a position, if somebody needs to hire somebody, or
Hmm.
vice versa, if somebody wants to put out a CV to say, this is what I can do, these are the skills that I have, does somebody want somebody with my skills? The same thing with housing. We have a section there where people can actually go and post ads for their houses if they want to rent.
Hmm.
Um, there's also a section for things like soft landings, so any information that people need, whether that's like migration or immigration information, or how to call a taxi in your country, whether you
Yeah.
have Uber or not. That's something that we ran into when we got to Georgia and to Bulgaria as well. They don't have Uber there. That's something you'd like to know when you get to an airport. So that kind of information also. And then the second part of the website is basically the social aspect of it. So
Hmm.
for anybody who's used Facebook, it works quite a bit like Facebook,
Right.
where you have a profile and you can interact with people. You can send them private messages. You can add them as friends, and then you can also communicate with them through different groups.
Hmm.
And the way that we're going to be setting up the group system is going to be based on like country. So it'll be, people in Georgia, people in Russia, people in America, that kind of thing.
Right.
And yeah, just to allow people to set up a network where they can feel like they're in a safe environment, because of the moderation and stuff that we will do on the site, where it's not a situation of, can I trust this person? And obviously, it being an online forum, you can't trust anybody 100%, but
Yeah.
it'll be a better place.
Okay. And tell me more about soft landings, because that sounds like a very interesting area.
So the concept of a soft landing is basically having somebody who can help you when you arrive in the country.
Hmm.
So that would be arranging like a taxi at the airport, or meeting somebody at the airport, showing them what networks they should be using, where to get a SIM card, how numbers work,
Yeah.
um, how getting airtime works, how paying for your internet works. For example, there's a lot of stuff here in Georgia that we've discovered over the last month that is incredibly convenient. So, for example, they use a taxi service called Yandex as
Right.
opposed to Uber. and use Yandex wherever you go, because the taxi drivers are always going to try and rip you off, obviously, as soon as they know you're a foreigner. It's also knowing simple things like, for example, the first day that I was here and I needed to get airtime, I literally walked for half an hour to get to what I thought was the place that I could go and get airtime. But then it turns out there are these little kiosks like everywhere on every corner of the street where you can simply go up to it, enter your phone number, and it's just sends data to your phone.
Okay.
You know, so simple things like that,
Yeah.
where a person is basically volunteering and saying, "I can give you all this information and make your life simpler and help you understand how the culture in this country works," as opposed to just pitching up and not knowing what to do. Because
I think that's an excellent. I think that's an excellent facility. Okay. Now, just a question on the payment side. Okay, let's say, for argument's sake, I signed up. Okay, and after a few months, I decide I don't want to stay with the website. Is there like a you can cancel, so you're not kind of committed to it for indefinite period?
So the way that we would do it is it wouldn't be a refund, but then obviously it would depend on how long you were a part of the site.
Right.
So if it's less than 15 days, then
Oh, no, I mean, let's say someone's been with you for 9 months and they decide that, hey, I've migrated, I don't really need this anymore. Can they then cancel from?
Yes. So the way that would work is obviously because it's 3 months. It depends on how long you're going to renew it. And then at the end of that, let's say that your time runs up, or you decide you don't want the account anymore, then you would just simply cancel the account.
Okay, so it doesn't automatically debit your account every 3 months or 6 months. You've got
No, you would have to opt in.
renew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So it's not on a subscription basis. We're trying to avoid that because people do end up doing that kind of thing where they just leave it and they keep on getting charged.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be a manual subscription.
Okay. Now, what's the future goal of Folktrek?
Well, I think for us, the future goal is obviously to help as many people as possible, and to kind of have that safe space for people.
Yeah.
What we would like to see, so for me, the ultimate goal is to kind of have the site up and running where it's helping people. But not having to maintain it for the rest of forever. So being able to hire people like admin, being able to have partners on the site, who go, okay, well, we are, say, like an estate agency, for example.
Yeah.
And we go to them and we say, cool, well, we'd like to partner with you. In return, we'd give you advertising and access to X amount of people.
Yeah.
So potentially getting help in that way from bigger businesses or from individuals who have the money to fund something like that. Whether that is like a private investment, or if that is just advertising or a partnership of some sort, that would kind of be the ultimate goal, is to be able to do that, to maintain the site. And then additionally, to be able to build groups and like networks and support systems where people are willing to help each other, where people are willing to actually sit down and go, oh, hey, I'd like to start a business here, and be able to find the partner and to be able to find the opportunity that'll serve them better, and allow them to move forward.
And is there anything else you'd like to add about Folktrek? What I'll do is I'll actually put a link to Folktrek below the video when I post it on my channel, so that people can just go straight in and have a look around.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Is there anything else you want to
add? Nothing in particular comes to mind. I do note that we don't have a social media platform or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think that is in discussion at the moment. So obviously you could like go to Twitter and be like, oh, hey, tell me more. But what you guys can do is, if anybody wants to know anything more, or if you guys want to get hold of us, then you can fill in the contact form that is on the site, on the contact page, and we'll get back to you with whatever it is that you guys need.
All right, fantastic. Now, just before I sign off, tell me what how you find Georgia different to South Africa. Well, I mean, what are the major differences between the two countries?
There are quite a few. There are quite a few. I'm not gonna lie. I really love Georgia. I think it's a beautiful place. In terms of nature, the people I find to be very friendly.
Yeah.
They're like just things are super efficient in terms of just existing in general. Um, for example, we went to the Ministry of Justice, which is like Home Affairs, and I think we were there for 20 minutes. I waited in line for about 5, and they gave me everything I needed within half an hour. So
Wow.
they're
Couldn't get that in
very, very
South
efficient.
Africa.
No. No.
Wow.
But one thing that a lot of people do note is the city is very run down. It's quite old, and obviously they've recently come out of a war with Russia. So I feel like things look quite, I would almost say derelict, but in a kind of cozy way. You know, everything's very old. You can see very old architecture and old buildings. And for me, it has a lot of charm.
Yeah.
But I reckon from like a safety perspective, being able to walk around and come home at 2 o'clock in the morning without any worry of
Yeah. And
anybody
kids can
hurting
play
you.
in the streets and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, these are things that
Um,
we take for granted in countries like Australia and Georgia, but in South Africa, you know, it's bad.
very different. Yeah,
Yeah.
very different. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I love the place. I
And
think
what
it's
about
amazing.
employment? Is it easy to get work there?
Yes. So as a South African, it's actually a really great immigration opportunity because you automatically, as a South African, get a 360-day visa,
Wow.
which is a year. You know, and that's a year for you to basically try and set up a life.
Hmm.
And getting residency is relatively simple. A lot of people try and register a business, and once you have a business or you have a job,
Mm.
they'll give you residency quite easily. With that 360-day residency, you also have the opportunity to get work. So you can go in and you can apply for whatever job, and if you get
Right.
it, then you can stay. You know.
Yeah. Now, just on the process there, let's say I'm in South Africa, for argument's sake. Do I
Yes.
just get take a plane to Georgia? Do I need to get a visa before I get there? I mean, what's the situation?
So no, you don't need a visa before you get there. It's actually really, really simple. You just walk in and give them your visa or your passport, and
Mm.
they're like, "Oh, you're South African. How long are you staying?" And then you just tell them, and they let you in.
Right.
It's probably one of the simplest things I've ever done. So no, when you leave South Africa, you don't need a visa. However, you may need a return ticket. The
Mhm.
return ticket is only for evidence for when you leave South Africa. So whenever you leave South Africa, they require to see that you have a return ticket because they don't want to have to pay for a return ticket
Right.
at the Embassy of South Africa. But when you arrive in Georgia, they won't ask you about return tickets or anything like that.
Okay. Is there anything
Just
else
see,
that?
oh,
Well, obviously, people can contact you about this anyway through the website.
yes, yes,
Um,
you can.
all right, that's fantastic. Look, um, I'm just going to wrap up the conversation now, and I would strongly suggest that my subscribers, if they're thinking of moving to Eastern Europe, um, I would be getting right onto the Folktrek website and you know really asking questions and finding out more. And definitely, Joanna and her mum know an awful lot about this subject. So this could be a wonderful opportunity to explore that option.
Yes, definitely. Um, yeah, and like you said, our contact box is is definitely open. So if anybody needs to know anything, just
Yeah,
send a message,
yeah. Okay.
and we'll be happy to help.
All righty. Thank you very much for your time, Joanna.
Awesome, thank you.
And I'll put this video up in the next hour or two onto the main
Okay,
channel.
great.
And look, we'll keep in touch. And I hope things really take off. And thank you for helping
Cool.
South Africans.
Awesome. Thank you very much for letting us do this.
Okay,
This
then
was
take
great.
care.
Thanks, Scott. Bye.
Bye for now.